So the other solutions are really, as I said, built on that Vuforia engine technology. Okay, so Vuforia Studio is really around taking existing 3D CAD data and sequences, combining that with IoT data to really improve operator understanding, assembly and training times. It's really around those 3D work instructions. Okay. So I want to talk about this one a little bit more because I guess it ties in most closely as well with IoT, as we were talking about in last week's webinar. Okay, so the idea is that Vuforia Studio, as I said, we take our existing 3D assets, or existing assets, I should really say. That could be CAD data. So obviously Creo, which is PTC's CAD tool, but it can read in CAD data from multiple different systems. Okay. So it can bring in CAD models as they are. If we want to, we can also, part of the Creo suite is a tool called Creo Illustrate to let us create animated sequences and instructions from 3D CAD data. So those animations that we might build to show, service disassembly, we can also bring those into Vuforia Studio. So we can bring in that CAD data. There are tools there to optimize that process as we bring them in. So we can make sure that, CAD data is typically very, very heavy, but we don't want to be, downloading 600 meg CAD files to look at those for work instructions. So there are a bunch of tools in there for doing that. And then we can also use existing media, movies, videos, text, images, PDF documents, whatever it might be. We can also incorporate all of that. So we bring all of those things into Vuforia Studio, which is our authoring environment. Okay, so it's designed to be very quick and easy to build these AR experiences. You could build stuff out of the box with no code. If you want to go a little bit more complex on that, you can do bits of coding to help build more functionality in there if you really want to. Okay, but the idea is to very quickly author and publish those AR experiences. So one of the parts of Vuforia Studio is that it is built connected to ThingWorx, which is PTC's IoT platform that we talked about last week. So the idea is that if your products or your equipment is hooked up to ThingWorx, then it's literally drag and drop to and very easy to bring in that IoT data into your AR environment. Okay, so we build our AR experiences and then we publish those out to a Vuforia Studio Experience service. That can be either on-premise or, as most of our customers are doing, cloud hosted by PTC for easy access. And then the last part is to view those experiences. So that's done in the Vuforia View app, which is a free app for anyone to download off App Store, Apple, Google, or Windows stores available on supported devices. So the idea is that anyone can download that View app and they can use that to then view those experiences you've created and published. So the beauty of this is that, that infrastructure that you might need to build in place if you're doing things through Vuforia Engine, right? You don't need to build your own app. The app is already there for you. The hosting in most of our customers' cases is taken care of by PTC. The IoT connectivity is already there, built in out of the box for ThingWorx. Okay, it's really just concentrating on authoring and publishing out those AR experiences. Okay, and really the big message, as I said before, is that AR is a really big complement to IoT. Okay, so IoT, we're looking at the physical world. We've got our physical products or systems that are there, and IoT is about capturing information about them into the digital world, through sensors, whatever else it might be, through that digital connectivity. We capture all of that and we bring that into a digital domain, and we might look at building a digital twin to better understand how that's being used to look at things like efficiency, service intervals, and the like. What AR lets us do is take that information from a digital model, from the digital world, and then present that back in the real world to help better understand and put that information into context. Okay. So I've just got some examples here to show the types of things that can be built from Vuforia Studio. So this first one, both of these have been captured from an iPad in the Vuforia View app. Okay, so this first one isn't incorporating IoT data, but it's really around training instructions. So we're looking here at a generator startup sequence. Okay, so there's some little instructions there. First one, how to navigate through the application. We acknowledge the warnings, and then the first thing we'll be looking for is using Vuforia's technology to look for the real world object. So we've got the outline there, and once we've found the object in the real world, we've used the CAD data that we have to actually place our AR on top of that. So you can see we've got these overlays here. We've got our safety warnings, those first 3 pages of the manual that everyone always skips. And now we're guided around the product using these images to help us explain or help us understand what's there. So you can see there's some little animations there showing for step 2, we've got to toggle the breaker off. Now we've got to get guided down to say, okay, open up this panel. So again, there's a little animation using our CAD data to explain, okay, open up this door. And then when you've opened it up, this is where the cable should be. Because you've got a little schematic picture there showing how things are supposed to be connected up to make sure that we've got that right. Okay, so we can go back to our next step. And now again, it guides us back around to the front of our generator. Okay, explaining, okay, turn this handle this way, turn this handle this way. Once we've done that, we go again back around to the side, toggle the main breaker back on, press the run button, and the generator is now started. Okay, so this is a great example of how, the type of instructions you can build. And when you look at it, think about how would you find that to understand versus reading through a bunch of step-by-step pages inside a manual. Okay, I think anyone could follow those instructions, right? They're guided through that while they're doing it on the machine. Okay. The next example, this is incorporating IoT data. So here we've got a little MagnaMotion assembly line. So the idea of this is once we start the AR experience, because we've got we might have multiples of these lines in our factory. The first thing we're going to do is scan a barcode. So this is a unique identifier. So that way, then we make sure that when we go off to read the IoT data, we're reading it from this machine. So again, we're looking for the outline of the machine to align our AR to, and there we go. So now we can actually look at the machine. We can see that it's running. We can actually turn on our information from our IoT sensors. So in this case, we're looking at our efficiencies, our reject rates. From a service perspective, again, we've got our safety warnings here. So we can see all of those danger areas in context rather than some kind of abstract pictures. And now we're going to do the service. Okay, so we can actually see down on the right-hand side there, the different sections of the track, what they're called. So very easy to understand as we're looking at the piece of equipment. This is what this bit is, this is what this bit is, okay, as opposed to our 2D diagram that we might be looking in the manual. We've got our warnings, we've got our tools required, and now we've got, again, guided overlaid instructions on what to do. So first we've got to pull this part out, and then we can slide the puck out, bring it over the table, and now we're moving more into sort of a purely virtual example showing what we might want to do, okay? So again, all of this stuff has been created from taking 3D CAD data and built using Creo Illustrate. So you can see these step-by-steps here, unscrewing, taking out the screws. There's a lot of detail in this to show you step-by-step what to do. Okay, remove the linkage plate assembly. Now we'll pull the pucks out, okay, of our jig there, okay, and then how to put it all back together again. So put the new puck in, so we remove the worn out ones, I put the new pucks in the fixture, sorry, not the jig. We put a little bit of Loctite in there to make sure it doesn't come apart easily while we're working. And then we'll pop our top back on, screw it back together, torque it up. Okay, so again, you can see instructions there popping up to show what it should be at. It's part of the animation. Okay. Now, if you're using IoT with smart connected tools, you could even have it where as you torque that up, the tool is actually feeding that back to your IoT sensors to ensure that it's been done to the right value as it marks it off. Okay, and there's our pucks replaced, and we're back and ready to go. Right, so these are examples of the kinds of things we can do with Vuforia Studio, viewed in Vuforia View. Okay, so some examples of what customers around the world are doing with this. Howden is a big user of PTC's Vuforia technology. So they make air handling equipment. So again, they look at this from a training and sales effectiveness. So they've built AR experiences to help customers understand their products as they're looking to buy them in a virtual space, looking at improving workforce productivity and really scaling out that subject matter expertise to the organization. Okay. BA Systems used Vuforia Studio to look and actually used eyewear through Microsoft HoloLens to create work instructions for their hybrid drive propulsion systems in the US, where they're looking at producing these hybrid buses. Okay, so they're looking at 50% improvement in assembly time, 30% improvement in training time. So these are not insignificant numbers.